titled Living Heritage Experiences in the Context of the COVID-19 Pandemic in Singapore. KIRK Siang is currently the Director of the Heritage Research and Assessment Division at the National Heritage Board of Singapore. He is also the coordinator for our SG Heritage Plan, which outlines the broad strategies for Singapore heritage sector from 2018 to 2022. I would like to welcome KIRK to present his paper.
Thank you, Dr. Saifu. And I would like to just start off by thanking each CAB and UNESCO Bangkok office for organizing today's webinar and for inviting me to share about our experience from Singapore. So just to share a bit of what's happening in Singapore, I think Singapore, like many other countries in the world, has been affected badly by the COVID-19 situation. Our first case of COVID-19 was confirmed earlier this year, and progressively there's been strict restrictions on social, cultural, and even business activities. We entered into a stage with what we call the circuit breaker period from early April to 1st of June. And during this period of time, many businesses were closed. People were advised to stay at home, work from home, and only go out for essential needs, like going to buy food and buying groceries. There's been significant impact to the daily lives of everyone, including myself. I continue to work from home since early April. The impact has also been great to many of our ICH practitioners across different forms. Performing arts theaters are closed, businesses have been restricted, many festive events have been cancelled. There is some good news because there's been some easing of these restrictions since early June, and many of the businesses actually are opening tomorrow. So many people are pretty happy and positive about it. But the next few slides in my presentation will share mainly about the activities during the April to June period where there were many strict restrictions. And during this time, I think we have observed that communities have shown resilience despite the challenges. They have tried to find new ways to come together to celebrate, to continue their practice through various digital means. And this has been the same for religious and cultural festivals as well. So all the safeguarding measures has affected these festivities and festivals. Access to places of worship are all restricted. Events are not allowed to take place. So the pictures here show Good Friday, Easter weekend in the 10th of April. Like many Catholic places, there will be usually Catholic Mass, worship services, but this year they could not do so, and they could only stream the services online, and people had to worship from their homes instead. So the same has been affecting many different festivals during this period of time. There was also the Qingling Festival, where families would visit the graves of their ancestors in a practice to what we call sweeping the tombs. So the families will make offerings, prayers to their ancestors and conduct rituals. But because of the closure and the restrictions, people could not do so, could not visit the graves. So many turned to digital means, for example, participating in mass chanting sessions that were streamed online, and there were some innovative ways of providing offerings that could be ordered electronically. The Tamil New Year happened on the 14th of April, and traditionally Hindu families would visit temples to conduct their prayer rituals, and then head off for a gathering in a family or friend's place to celebrate and enjoy the various festive heritage foods. Of course, this year it was not possible. So many of the Hindu families had to hold very simple, more simple meals just within their immediate household, because you couldn't even visit your friends or other families if you don't live together. They had to use digital tools to communicate with one another. And there were some innovative ways where the temples would also host their prayer rituals online through digital means. Another major festival that happened during this period of time was the Vesak Day. And traditionally, Buddhist devotees would gather at the temples for large-scale events, prayers, and conduct various practices and rituals. So like the ones you see on the picture on the left. Of course, this time again, like other festivals, they had to turn to online digital means instead of physical gatherings. So there were different ways that they try to overcome this by conducting talks, workshops, meditation sessions, coming online together to conduct these prayer sessions. My next few slides will touch on this case study of an online digital campaign titled Ramadan Together. So the month of Ramadan, from April to May this year, is a holy month of the year for Muslims, and is celebrated in Singapore and many Muslim communities all around the world. So it involves the fasting and also various social, cultural practices, and involves the family and wider community. And because of the closure of the mosques and also the cancellation of bazaars and events, families could no longer participate in some of these practices like the past years. So at the National Heritage Board, we started this month-long campaign titled Ramadan Together. The aim was to help foster a sense of togetherness and solidarity among the local Muslim community during this time. At the same time, we wanted to use this as a platform to help raise awareness of Ramadan to our non-Muslim community as well, to create a better understanding of the culture. So we had a website, and there was extensive use of social media. And through the campaign, we tried to provide details and information to raise awareness of the different cultural practices during this period of time. There were various links to online events, video documentation, as well as live streaming of events. So just to share some of the activities in the campaign, they included online concerts, people performing from their homes. There was also cooking demonstrations to teach people how to make festive foods within their home. There was a special event, online event called Iftar Together. It's Breaking Fast Together. So it was a platform where people to come together, have conversations about Ramadan, the cultural meanings to them, or just to learn about the cultural practices. And it ended with community breaking fast together online. And throughout the campaign, we provided various bite-sized information to help people understand the Malay and Muslim heritage and culture through different social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram. So we were very encouraged by the positive feedback from the community during this time. These are just some comments that we received. We felt that it was successful in helping to maintain some kind of normalcy, normal life during this difficult time. And it enabled communities to come together to interact, to continue their practices despite the restrictions and constraints created by COVID-19. And I think importantly, it helped us reach to a new audience that may not be familiar with some of these cultural and religious practices. And I think being online actually provided this opportunity because people felt that it was convenient and also easy to come together and partake in some of these practices. Also, beyond that, there were many other digital initiatives. For example, picture on the top is about sharing of recipes, food recipes. There was also various videos teaching people how to make crafts. So one example at the left corner is a traditional game. It's a video to teach people about the traditional game and to make a traditional game set at home. And of course, there were other events and online programs to highlight different festivals that are happening during this period of time. And because people are spending so much time at home, we also came up with experimented with fun ways to promote ICH. So the pictures on the top is one example of how we try to promote oral traditions and expressions in this tale called The Attack of the Swordfish. So what we tried to do was to invite people to act and play out certain scenes within this story. And then the video was stitched together to form a storytelling video clip. So you can see it's actually quite a fun way to reach out to people. And you can see like the audience is very young. So I think it's a easy and fun way where you can get the younger generation and children to participate and at the same time learn about the cultural heritage. Our performing arts groups, because of the closure of the theaters and spaces, have also held various performances and virtual concerts. So this picture shows the Singapore Chinese Orchestra, for example, all playing from their homes and all coming together to hold a virtual concert for their audience. I'd just like to share about the Singapore Heritage Festival. It's actually starting tomorrow. It's the 17th year since the festival started. So usually there will be a few weeks of events, tours, and we celebrate and promote different aspects of heritage, intangible cultural heritage, history, our historic buildings and monuments. But this year, in its history of the festival, it has gone completely digital. So the festival starting tomorrow will feature various performances, online tours, workshops. We have programs featuring the practitioners and different groups as well. So we hope that this is still a way to, as a platform to showcase our practitioners, to give them a platform, and at the same time try to uplift the spirits of the people during this difficult time. We were also very encouraged that during this time, many community, many individuals and groups started their own projects, started to do more and wanted to play their part to contribute to safeguarding. So this comes from a news article in our local papers, the Straits Times, about youth starting their own ICH projects. So they started doing their own documentation and sharing about food heritage, showing about and sharing about calligraphy, for example, and even doing their own documentation of ICH during the COVID-19 period in Singapore. Besides the grounds up community efforts, there's also been other efforts to try to document this period, this very unique situation that we are all experiencing. So the National Museum of Singapore and the National Library Board, they have started a campaign to collect photos, artifacts from people in the public to try to document the different aspects of the impact of COVID-19 in Singapore. And the coverage could be how daily lives have been affected, how social and cultural life has been affected. So this picture just shows a snapshot of some of the photos that have been collected. It's photos of hawker centers. These are places where there are a lot of different food that's offered, and the usual scene is all these tables will be occupied with people. And it's very unique that we now see is completely empty. Stores may be open for takeaway, but it's a very interesting aspect that we wanted to document so that it becomes a resource for our future generations to understand this process and what the people had to go through during this time. So hopefully that will also inspire them in future of how cultural heritage can play a role in encouraging resilience and social cohesion during this period of time. I've come towards the end of my presentation, and I'd just like to share a few key points that we have observed during this period. ICH in this period of time, difficult time, plays a very important role in society and bringing communities together. Nothing can replace the physical interactions of people. That's very important. But I think what the pandemic has highlighted is there are other ways that community has shown resilience to continue their practices. And digital platforms actually provides opportunities for us. For example, opportunities to reach out to a new audience. We can overcome the physical constraint, just like how we can gather together on the webinar. But at the same time, I think we have to be mindful that there could be a risk of segregating people, especially those that do not have the means to access digital, to have the skills to use the computer and other digital tools. So the heavy reliance on digital platforms could risk segregating, and actually they may feel isolated during this time. The pandemic has also highlighted the need for us to be adaptive to the changing times. What I think has done is to speed up the way that communities are embracing digital technology and using it as a tool to help them maintain a normal way of practice. And lastly, of course, the situation is still very volatile, and it continues to evolve globally and in Singapore as well. And we really need to kind of observe and analyze what is the long-term impact of the pandemic on our cultural heritage over the next few months or even years, and how some of our safeguarding measures may have to adapt and change with the times to help our communities overcome this and to continue and ensure the continuation of many of our cultural practices. And with that, I end my presentation, and thank you very much for your time.